17. Your body as password. When identity became something you are, not something you remember. The prediction, what we thought. As digital life expanded in the 1990s, a quiet frustration grew alongside it. Passwords were terrible. They were hard to remember, easy to steal, and endlessly reset. As people accumulated more accounts, the system strained under its own cognitive weight. The obvious solution, futurists argued, was to stop relying on knowledge-based security altogether. Instead, your body would become your password. Fingerprints, iris patterns, facial features, voice signatures. These were unique, persistent, and always with you. Authentication would become effortless. No more remembering strings of characters. No more forgetting access. Security would move from what you know to who you are. Standing in 1999, this felt elegant, futuristic, and humane. Security without friction. Identity without memory. Why this prediction made sense in 1999. To understand why biometric security felt inevitable, you have to remember how primitive digital security still was at the turn of the millennium. In 1999, most systems relied on simple passwords. Multi-factor authentication was rare. Identity theft was poorly understood. Online services were multiplying rapidly. At the same time, the stakes were rising. Banking was moving online. Email was becoming essential. Corporate systems were networked. As digital access expanded, so did the consequences of compromise. Biometrics offered an intuitively satisfying solution. Unlike passwords, bodies couldn't be forgotten or easily shared. Science fiction had long portrayed biometric scanners as advanced and secure. Even early real-world systems, fingerprint readers, retinal scans, felt authoritative and futuristic. Importantly, this optimism existed before smartphones, before always-on cameras, and before large-scale data breaches. Biometrics were imagined as secure endpoints, not surveillance tools. The emotional framing was trust, not threat. In the hopeful atmosphere of the late 1990s, it felt reasonable to believe that better technology would make security both stronger and more user-friendly. Who said it, and where? One of the most vocal proponents of biometric security was Ray Kurzweil, who predicted in The Age of Spiritual Machines, 1999, that biometric identifiers would replace passwords as computers became more integrated into daily life. Kurzweil viewed biometrics as a natural extension of human-machine integration. As systems became more intelligent and personalized, identity verification would follow suit. Using the body as a key wasn't just convenient, it aligned with a future where technology recognized individuals, contextually rather than through arbitrary credentials. By the late 1990s, this idea had gained traction beyond futurist circles. Governments explored biometric passports. Corporations tested fingerprint access systems. The concept felt technologically ready, even if deployment was still limited. What actually happened? 2000 to 2025. Biometric security arrived and quietly became normal. The early 2000s saw gradual adoption in controlled environments. Border control, corporate access, law enforcement databases, accuracy improved, hardware costs fell. Public familiarity grew. The real inflection point came with mobile devices. As smartphones became central to daily life, biometric authentication moved from novelty to habit. Fingerprint readers unlocked phones. Facial recognition replaced passcodes. Voice authentication verified identity. Logging in became something you did, not something you typed. By the 2010s and 2020s, biometrics were standard on consumer devices. Physical access systems used fingerprints and facial scans. Payments were authorized with a glance or a touch. Passwords began to feel outdated, even if they didn't disappear. By 2025, most people interacted with biometric security multiple times a day without thinking about it. The prediction that identity would become embodied had clearly come true. At the same time, biometrics didn't fully replace traditional security. Passwords persisted as backups. Multi-factor systems combined biometrics with codes and tokens. The future layered security rather than simplifying it entirely. Still, the core shift was undeniable. Verdict. Status. Realized. Biometric security is now a mainstream method of authentication. Fingerprints, facial recognition, and other biometric identifiers are widely used for devices, payments, access control, and identity verification. The prediction succeeded in both adoption and impact. Why it played out this way? This prediction worked because it solved a real problem. Passwords were fragile. Biometrics reduced friction. The improvement was immediately felt. Adoption didn't require cultural change, only trust in hardware and software that proved reliable. Technological progress made this possible. Sensors improved. Algorithms became more accurate. False positives dropped. Once biometric authentication became faster than typing, it won. What was underestimated in 1999 was the privacy trade-off. Using your body as a password raises questions that passwords never did. You can change a password. You can't change your face. The future delivered convenience but also new forms of vulnerability. What this prediction teaches us about the future. This case shows how predictions succeed when they reduce cognitive burden. Biometrics didn't win because they were futuristic. They won because they were easier. The future often favors solutions that disappear into habit. It also reminds us that progress is rarely free. Each improvement shifts risk rather than eliminating it. The body became the key, but also the target. In 1999, biometric security symbolized frictionless trust. In 2026, it represents a trade-off we now navigate daily. One sentence takeaway. We stopped remembering passwords and started unlocking the digital world with our own bodies.